I'm pointing to my solar plexus because I could feel now when the life force was kind of being pulled at. And so it's now being able to have tools to clear that energy and call my power back to me, and to also acknowledge where maybe I've unintentionally manipulated my way into situations without even realizing it.
Starts young.
And and then having that training too, I feel like the people who trained me had those tactics, and they would call them installations and programs. And so I've even had to clear some of the NLP training because I didn't like that. It didn't feel authentic to me. So
Welcome to the living room. Leave the over at the door. We'll talk it out till it's simple, till it's you again for sure. Life, leadership, money, and the names you outgrow. We make space for the woman coming through. Living room wisdom, where your story is your glory.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Today, actually, Tiffani's story is your glory. This is Tiffani Marie. She's a former teacher turned spiritual leader and guide whose work is rooted in helping women return to themselves after years of self-betrayal, people-pleasing, and disconnection. I know nothing about that. Are we twins?
right.
It's the exact path I've walked myself.
Yeah.
And so first off, I just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I
you for
am
having me.
obsessed with your red hair.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about your background. Are you Irish?
I have a little bit of Irish.
Okay.
Italian as well. More Italian. So, yeah.
What the red hair it always fascinates me. I'm like, where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's northern Italy. There's a lot of redheads. I do have a little
Really?
Irish as well, though. So.
And then with the green eyes and the green dress, it's just all working for me.
Thank you.
Well, we were connected through a friend.
Yes.
And so I'm just happy that we're able to actually connect in person.
Me too.
I'm excited to just dive into a little bit about who you were
Okay.
at your core, who you are at your core, who you were and who you're becoming. Because you're in quite the transition right now, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I am in transition, navigating a second divorce. I just had my fourth baby almost 2 months ago.
Wow.
And yeah, just through my life have gone through a lot of periods of transition, and recently also lost my mother, which was a whole nother transition as well. And so, yeah, I've been a chameleon in the past, just blending into whatever environment I have been in, and have really been on this deep self-discovery journey for the past 7 years or so. So
7's a good number.
yeah,
It's a number of completion.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I've heard. So
Yeah, very good. And so then tell me a little bit about kind of your upbringing. Were you raised in pretty structured upbringing, or was it a little bit chaotic? Because that tells a lot about probably how you navigate these different transitions.
Totally. So it was very chaotic.
Okay.
I was raised by a Christian youth pastor, and we moved a lot. I've lived in 10 different states, and so I'm used to constant change. I was raised by my grandparents and was babysat by people in the church. And so I've been in a lot of different environments, different school environments, church environments. And so, yeah, just lots of constant change. So for me, I thrived in that as a Gemini, and I'm also multi-passionate with my 1-3. So I'm all for the experimentation and just the adventure.
Well, it definitely feeds into your astrology sign, because
Yes.
you guys tend to have multiple personalities in the best way.
Exactly.
Right? But it also, I'm sure, created such a flexibility and a openness to new adventures that
Definitely.
you may not have gotten. And it's interesting because you have the very structured, like religious structure, that background, while also moving around a lot and having a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
So would you say then that that is a natural part of who you are, that being able to navigate uncertainty and change? or is that something you feel like you developed? Like, I know a lot of people who have been in those same situations.
Yeah.
Were not comfortable, did not embrace it, but it's just what it was.
Right.
And so they had to adapt. But in your case, do you feel like in your soul that's kind of who you are naturally, or was that something you learned?
Yeah, I feel very multifaceted and multidimensional. And so for me, I didn't like being fit into one box. And
Okay.
so, like, religion and even the traditional
Yeah.
school system, I was a teacher for 8 years. I feel like those modern structures are boxing people's potential and identity into labels.
Yeah.
And so my whole life I tried fitting into those perfect boxes, and I feel like we're all so much more than that. And so
Totally.
through all of these different changes that I've been going through, it's been peeling back these layers of things that I picked up of what other people taught me I should be. And even like the good girl syndrome, trying to be a good Christian girl and
Yes.
afraid to speak up. And right now Lilith is coming through. It's like standing up for yourself. And even in a wife role, I am an alpha female, and so I kept trying to play these submissive roles, and then we would end up butting heads. And so I've been on this journey of really uncovering my authenticity and my voice again after years of suppressing that. I feel like I was a wild child and I loved the change constantly, and so for me structure is really difficult. And so I've been really wanting to actualize my business and dreams and all of these things, which require structure and consistency. And
Yes.
so that's my biggest struggle, is to remain consistent. And so I've been formulating a lifestyle to where I can have the structure and also allow for the adaptability and change, and allowing myself to grow with these different seasons that I'm going
Gosh,
through.
we have so much in common. It's pretty wild. So at what age or at what point did you start to realize that while you were trying to live within the structures that were placed upon you, your insides were like, let me out of here, right? Like, when did that start to happen?
I feel like it was right after high school, right when I was out of the nest of my parents' nest, and I was out on my own, which my parents were teen parents. They had me
Okay.
at 17 and 19. And so I tried to follow in their footsteps. I got married actually on my 20th birthday the first
Were
time.
they married when they had you?
They got married when
they
I was
went the
3 months
route.
old.
They did the things that you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yes.
on the outside, it looked picture perfect. Being a pastor's daughter, too, I very much had to maintain this
Yes.
facade of perfectionism. We couldn't really talk about our problems. And immediately early in childhood, I had some trauma happen sexually. And so I didn't really have a safe place to talk about that. And so, just when I was out on my own after high school, I felt immediately right after getting married that I wanted to break out of that. Actually, even before I said yes, my intuition was like, no, you're not meant for the traditional lifestyle. And I found myself repeating my parents' life.
Cycle.
I really, I wanted to please them and follow in their footsteps. And it just, I joked before I got married the second time that marriage is a scam, and then a couple months later I got married again, and now navigating a second divorce, it's like, okay, that actually is true to me. Maybe I'm not meant to be in these traditional marriages. It's more like a partnership, and allowing that to be our teacher and to evolve. And I feel like sometimes there's a natural exit point or a closure to where it's like, okay, I've learned the lessons that I've needed to from this person. I don't need to stay married to them until death do us part. Or if things happen where boundaries are crossed, allowing that falling apart and uncoupling to happen.
I love how you navigate that. And it goes back to that reason, season, lifetime,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It applies to everything.
Yes.
So when you went into the second marriage, did you choose the same type of partner? Were you still trying to fit into that mold, or were you looking to create something different?
So it started off different, and what I found out is he seemed to be mirroring me in a lot of ways at the beginning. We did have a lot of things in common. Even the first day we met, it was actually in a Lyft ride. He was my Lyft Lyft driver, and he had the same NLP binder, and I had finished an NLP training back in 2020.
Okay.
And so it was all these different synchronicities. We had one of our kids were the same age, and so I was like, oh, it's meant to be, it's fate.
Yeah.
Like, we're into the same things, we hit it off. And even our first conversation, he was like, have you heard of soul contracts?
Okay.
And
He was speaking your language.
exactly.
Woo!
Yes. So then things started to just shift as we grew as well. And so, yeah, I just got to a point where it was starting to get toxic, and the theme of self-betrayal was coming up because from the moment I met him, it was like the little siren going off, like, proceed with caution. And I wanted to play with fire. And also, I feel that was a very destined relationship because through that, I also had my next 2 children, August and Athena, who feel very tied to my soul mission as well. And I know that they were meant to come in through this way. And so, again,
it
it's
was
like,
definitely meant to be.
yeah, it's knowing they were part of the process and that I don't need to be married to their father forever.
Our children are our best teachers, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
they definitely call us into ourselves. And as they grow older, because most of my children are adults now, youngest 16, but they call you out on things, right? They hold you accountable. They really see you for who you are, even if it's not who you're being.
Yeah.
And so I can see how that would be quite the journey. The other part when you were speaking is that anytime we're into something, whether it's yoga or NLP or whatever it is, and we meet people who resonate on that level, we have this immediate connection and this openness to them. However, there are people out there who utilize those things for manipulation.
Exactly.
And that's what I was feeling.
Yes, that's exactly what
was
happened.
He a narcissist?
He is a narcissist. Yeah.
She's like, that was. That
Yeah.
was still a narcissist.
Which also stems back to my father wound that I've been healing, and it's been going back and forth. I actually had a really deep father and mother wound.
Okay.
And with my mom's passing, I was able to find a lot of peace actually before that. We had a lot of really deep conversations around the pain, and my mom was very open to accepting responsibility for where she was 17 when she had me. She knows she didn't show up as much as she could have had she been a little more mature, and also it was the exact mom that I needed. My father, on the other hand, has very much still to this day, even though I'm not in contact, he holds a grudge against me, and it's always been my fault.
Right.
Whereas I appreciate relationships where both people can accept accountability and responsibility. And so that was my pattern in dating and marriage as well, is choosing partners unconsciously who were mirroring these wounds in childhood. And so I am now doing a deeper healing of that. And even when I separated from my husband this time, who I'm navigating the divorce from, I decided this cycle ends now. I'm no longer repeating this lesson. I've mastered this lesson, and consciously being like, okay, I'm noticing my own pattern. I don't want to repeat this pattern anymore. And so, going back to the manipulation, that is what started to happen in that relationship, where I felt my life force draining from the beginning. I went against what I wanted. I was very clear with him about not wanting to get married. I have a different unconventional view on relationships. I'm not sure if I want kids again.
So you were exercising your voice.
I was. And he wanted a traditional family and wanted me to be his wife and wanted to have kids with me. And he did a great job of, it's called future faking, I've learned, where he painted this beautiful picture of what life could be like with him, and it was not even close to that. And he even told me he shared the dark manipulation that could happen with NLP. And I've never been one to want to manipulate people. I want to understand people, and it comes from a place of connection, not manipulation.
I know, it's very scary.
It is.
Actually, there's a lot of people who study specifically NLP for that mind control and manipulation piece.
100%.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I actually was a little bit turned off from NLP after
Yes.
noticing that from
Yeah.
other people who were trained in NLP and seeing the polarity. So it's
I'm sorry
really
you had to go
interesting.
through that. That's
Yeah, it was part of my journey
intense.
to listen to my discernment and listen to my
Yes.
intuition and to notice. I'm pointing to my solar plexus because I could feel now when the life force was kind of being pulled at, and so it's now being able to have tools to clear that energy and call my power back to me, and to also acknowledge where maybe I've unintentionally manipulated my way into situations without even realizing
It starts young.
And and then having that training too, I feel like the
Yes.
people who trained me had those tactics, and they would call them installations and programs. And so I've even had to clear some of the NLP training because I didn't like that. It didn't feel authentic to me. So
Oof, gosh. It's wild because I don't know if you know this, but I also am NLP.
okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I did
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
masters and all that stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I've always been one that I love tools, I love knowledge, I love resources, and I take the courses and get the certifications. I don't necessarily practice the way that you're taught to practice per se.
Exactly.
I'm more of a person who embodies it. So I embody my yoga training, my
Yes.
NLP training, my coaching, all these things. And so my question to you is, when did you start to really notice, acknowledge, and accept the self-betrayal? Because it didn't just start in the marriages. This is a
Right.
habit and a cycle that we learned early. So what would be your earliest memory of self-betrayal?
I would probably say around 5. Yeah. And what's coming to mind is when I entered the school system as well.
Yeah,
And that was also a big change where we moved shortly after that as well. And so, it's coming back to the traditional school, which is actually why I left schooling as a teacher, seeing how we're teaching kids to walk in a straight line, don't get out of line. You need to have one correct answer on a test, and it's like this one size fits all. And even the competition between kids and giving them a letter grade and not acknowledging the full spectrum of them and their gifts, and just even disconnecting them in a way from their intuition, and teaching them to listen to authority outside of themselves, or even raising their hand to go to the restroom. I used to tell my students, if you need to go to the restroom, just go. You don't need to ask permission to take care of your basic needs. And I also didn't like how some teachers almost had like an authority, power hunger type of attitude, where they almost thought they were better than the children. I looked at it as the students were also teaching me, and
I love it.
I also talked to them like they were humans, like we were on the
Yes.
same level, and I was
Those are the
learning
best
from
teachers.
them. And also letting them learn from each other as much as they could too, and looking at it more as being a facilitator for the learning rather than I'm teaching them. It's guiding them to find the answers within themselves.
So we need more teachers like that.
And-
Like the connections and the similarities are crazy, because I actually took my kids out of public school for a lot of those same reasons. And ended up, I have 4 natural children as well, and became a single mom at 35. And so homeschooling saved everything, because especially moving to San Diego, I have brown children. There weren't a lot of diversity where we were living at the time, and I wanted them to be seen, held, revered, and taught to who they were, and not who the system is trying to make them become, or how the system sees them.
Absolutely.
It's quite the fine line. So while I was never an actual teacher, I had the experience, and saw that it is possible to teach different personalities, different type of learners, in a way that really connects with who they are and allows them to flourish as who they are. And so do you keep in touch with any of your students? Because I'm sure they loved you.
I had a lot of my seventh grade students actually started following me on social media,
wow.
which
Okay.
after I left the classroom.
Yeah.
And I did allow that, and I haven't really kept up with them just to respect that boundary. The seventh graders seemed most connected to me, and I think, again, it's because, especially with that age, when I tell people I taught seventh grade, they're like, oh, that must have been the worst. And I was like, no, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Because they are like
good
little
age.
adults, and I talk to them as if I would talk to you, and they really received that well. I feel like teenagers especially, and even thinking back to my teenage years, how my dad especially would talk to me. My dad was also a youth pastor, and seeing his interaction with the youth students, it was just not coming from a place of mutual respect.
Yeah.
And
Dominance.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't kept in touch with a lot of the students. I do keep in touch with the parents. There are some
that's
from
great.
from my first year
Yeah.
of teaching, which that was in 4th grade, and they graduated, I think, within the last 2 to 3 years. And so that was cool, just seeing their pictures of them graduating, and now some of them are in college, and just being a part of that growth.
Yes.
Seeing how they've gone from 4th grade to now adults is fascinating.
And so now you hold space for women and help them with the people identifying and overcoming the people pleasing and the self betrayal. What's the thing you see most commonly? Because I'm sure there's a range. While some people, there's a certain archetype of what it might look like, there's also people probably that are extremely successful who you would never know have these things that they struggle with. So tell us all some of the signs that you might be betraying yourself and not even understand.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's the overthinking is coming up. Women who are constantly overthinking and looking for external validation,
Yes.
even on business choices or life choices, relationship choices. It's those women who don't feel safe enough. They don't have that self-trust built up to make those decisions for themselves. They're used to making decisions, thinking about others in mind first,
Which is so natural for women. My
absolutely.
gosh.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we're trained to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, if you're making the wrong decision, I feel like we're conditioned to think that there's a right or wrong answer in life, and
Yes.
really none of us have it all figured out. And the ones who make it look like they have it all figured out are probably not being very truthful. I feel like there's always something that we can learn. And so I feel like overcoming that feeling like you're making the right decision, and that's something that even for myself too, coming to alignment, it's coming back to, is this a decision that feels right for me? And starting from there. And sometimes it can be our default to go into these overthinking or even old stories, and it's being able to clear out that and ask, where did I first learn this thought or this belief, and being able to clear that out so that we can come from a place of what feels true to me in this moment, and knowing that also gets to evolve over time as we learn and uncover those deeper parts of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it is that we're so inundated with noise. Whether
Yes.
it's social media, it's other people's voices,
Yes.
societal programming, all of these things that is telling us what we should be,
Exactly.
that we forget who we actually are.
Yeah.
You know?
And coming back to the should, I had a mentor once that said, you're shoulding all over the place. And that's a red flag too. If you catch yourself saying, I should do this,
Yes.
that's probably not coming from a place of alignment. And instead it's like, I get to do this, or I could do this, and starting to open up your mind to other possibilities as well, other than what society or your parents or your spouse or your business partner or whatever thinks you should do. It's like, what do I actually want to do? What lights me up? And especially being a manifesting generator, it's very important for me to come from a place of what is sparking joy in the moment and what's really lighting me up, because that's my fuel to keep going, rather than just doing things out of obligation or feeling like I have to.
Yeah, 100%. And listening to our inner voice. Where would you say, if someone is out there, and you know, we talk about intuition a lot, but can you explain to the audience, like for someone who maybe hasn't really experienced or doesn't think they've experienced or don't recognize it as intuition, what does that feel like in your body? Like, where is that typically felt, and how do you know when it's intuition, and not, programming or fear or something else?
That's such a good question. And for me, I feel like we all experience our intuition a little differently. For me, I feel it in a feeling in my center. It's a tightness if it's a no, like if there's like
Same.
red flags, it's
Yeah.
like I feel myself contracting.
Yes.
And if it's a yes, then I feel myself opening. So it's starting to listen to those cues in your body. So maybe for other people who are listening, maybe they resonate with that just like you do. You're like, yes, that's how I feel it. For other people, it might be a heaviness in their chest where they feel it's hard to breathe. And again, like just paying attention to those cues. Or if something is making you feel anxious, it's probably a no. And then if it's more of like an excitement and it feels like expansive, that feels more like a yes. And so,
And that's a fine line, I've found.
yes.
Because sometimes the fear and the excitement feels
so
the
similar.
same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, what is interesting is as we start to expand and push ourselves to grow, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. And so that can also lead to self-sabotage where really your intuition is guiding you in a certain direction and it feels so uncomfortable and new that you might be thinking
Start to shift here.
Exactly. And that's what happens with me in the past. And even sometimes I catch myself where I'm starting to like touch the edges of my comfort zone. And then I want to contract and go back to the old ways. And it's
Yes.
like, no, this is safe. And so it's really building the self-trust with yourself. And
Yeah.
it could be like little decisions too. And also tracking patterns of, okay, I feel this is my intuition. I'm going to go with this decision and see how it plays out. It could be also big decisions like me ignoring the intuition, like proceed with caution with this second marriage, and then later on saw the patterns play out. And also knowing that no matter what decision you make, it's your intuition's always going to reroute you. It's like a GPS. If you set your destination, like I'm going to drive from here to Las Vegas, and there's some sort of detour, you might have to get off the freeway and get back on, or maybe you stop at like those Rainbow 7 Magic Mountain rocks and take pictures, and ultimately you're going to reroute back onto where you need to be. And so I think a lot of us feel this pressure of, is this my intuition? Is this fear? Am I making the right decision? Am I on track? And I feel like a lot of us need permission to know you're exactly where you need to be right now. Every decision, whether you think it was a mistake or a success, is ultimately teaching you and shaping you and molding you to who you're here to be and preparing you for what's coming next, even if it doesn't consciously make sense now. And sometimes we don't know things, why we went through it until hindsight, after we're out of the situation. We're like, now it makes sense. And that's life. School teaches you the lessons and then they give you the tests. In life, life gives you the test and then you learn the lesson.
Yeah, I love it. It's interesting because I think so many people, especially high achieving, high functioning women, do get caught up in their head and in the perfectionism. But there really is no right answers. We're always going to make mistakes. We get to make the mistakes and learn from them. To me, the only mistake is making the mistake over and over again, the same mistake.
Exactly.
So I get excited about new mistakes.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And everything happens for a reason. And I know it sounds cliche because we say it all the time, but it's so true. If you open yourself up to the lessons, if you're paying attention and you're growing from each experience, there's no wrong answer. And like you said, you're always going to end up back on your path.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's looking at your journey with reverence, with gratitude. What can I learn from it?
Yes.
Really, it's a matter of asking yourself better questions.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
Right? Asking yourself better questions and having better conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
how we get away from the self-betrayal. Starting to say yes and meaning yes, no and meaning no.
Yes.
Right? Those boundaries.
Exactly.
And that seems like the path that you're on. So me being the nosy, loving, wonderful, I love relationships too. So I'm interested to find out, do you think you'll get married again or be in a long-term partnership? And if so, what do you feel like that next iteration of love and life look like?
That's such a good question. For me, I don't see myself ever getting traditionally married again. Partnership, yes. I feel I thrive in partnership, and I feel like I have seasons in between where I am single to do some integration. And then for me, partnerships are like mirrors. They help me to see what I'm not
100%.
seeing when I'm by myself.
Yes.
And also, up until this relationship, I had that pattern of unconsciously attracting the same partner, different faces. And now that I've identified that and I've consciously decided I am not repeating that,
Yes.
I've been in this phase doing deeper integration and healing to no longer attract that same partner again. And I do see myself getting into a partnership again. I feel like once I do take action on some of the dreams that I've put on the back burner because I've been prioritizing other people, I feel once I come from a place of more wholeness and integration to where I don't feel like I need a partner, it's more like an asset,
That's
kind of
when it
like sprinkles on the cake. It's like the cake and icing is still good by itself, and sometimes it's fun to throw sprinkles on. And it's just coming from a place of this person is enhancing my life, not adding or not completing me. Because before, I think I unconsciously thought I needed someone to complete me, feeling like I was
what
not
we're taught.
whole.
It's all these stinking fairy tales.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
happily ever after books, and the
Yes.
prince is gonna save me. I'm like, bitch, ain't
No,
nobody coming to
save
you.
yourself.
You gotta save yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard lesson, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And when you,
100%.
just like you said, when you're whole, you attract a partner from wholeness, and then you complement each other.
Yeah.
And you're interdependent instead
Exactly.
of codependent.
That's not a fun place to be.
That is not a fun place to be at all. So I just want to congratulate you for your
Thank
journey.
you.
And I know you're still in it, and there's
Yeah.
probably a bit of a identity lag from
Yes.
who you were, who you're becoming, and kind of like I'm envisioning you swimming in these waters right now,
Yes.
like navigating it and coming up to these islands and going, okay, which way am I going to get in this time?
Exactly.
But it's fun. It's a
is.
freaking adventure. It's you get to create it however you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
exciting.
you.
And so how do your children inspire your journey then? I know for myself, like looking into their little eyes and watching them grow up and everything really informed a lot of my decisions. How would you say they're supporting this new version of yourself that you're becoming?
For me, my mom didn't go after her dreams, and I saw how that affected her. And so I really want my children to see that mom gets to choose herself and she gets to choose us.
Yes.
I also don't want them to follow in my footsteps. I want them to go in the direction that feels most authentic to them and not just try to repeat what I already went through. And so I very much encourage them to make decisions, whether it's picking a sport or friends or whatever, picking things that feel good to them. And also being open to their feedback as well.
Yeah.
For example, my oldest child got a much more unhealed version of me. And so, yeah, just hearing
Unfortunately,
his feedback
that happens with the
Exactly.
firsts.
Yeah. But using that as feedback of,
Yes.
okay, this is who I was and this is who I'm becoming, and allowing myself to grow as well, and giving myself grace for where I may have shown up not in my highest self, and allowing that to be the fuel to keep reaching more toward that love and forgiveness toward myself, and allowing myself to make those mistakes, and also allowing my kids to make their own mistakes too, and not being so overbearing, and just giving
Yeah.
them the freedom.
Creating
And
it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty magical. I got to do that after the passing of my husband, like completely rewrite how I parent, you know,
Yeah.
all of the things.
Exactly.
And it's pretty magical. So
Yeah.
I
And
appreciate that.
Going with that too, now that I'm not so focused on a man in this
Yes.
season or a partner or marriage, I get to pour all that energy into my kids and my mission.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I've even had that conversation with my older children as well.
Yeah,
Looking
you get
at
to
it
develop
as
a whole new relationship. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
So then, for people watching who really resonate with your story and your shifts, how can they find you? Where do you hang out online?
So right now I am going through a rebrand.
Yes.
My Instagram handle right now is Grit Grow Rise. That
Okay.
may evolve, and Yeah, so I will update you if
For
that
now,
changes.
it's Grow Rise.
Rise,
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and make sure we have updated information in the show notes so that you can connect with this amazing woman, share your stories, maybe work with her. And with that said, I just want to thank you again for being here and
Thank
sharing
you.
of yourself, which is not always easy to do.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us on another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get alerts for all of our new episodes. Stay tuned for more amazing interviews like this one. And leave us a review, leave us a comment, share your feedback. We want to make sure that you're getting what you need in these conversations. You can even suggest ideas for future episodes, but we want to connect with you. So thanks again. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place on Living Room Wisdom. Bye.
Welcome to the